If you are starting over in your 40s, maybe in life, maybe in business, in love, or maybe even all of it simultaneously, I want and need you to know something right away before we even get into it. You, my love, you are not the only one. By no means. Whether it is a career shift, a divorce, or a complete identity rebuild, so many of us are walking through the very same reinvention quietly while holding everything else together. And let me share you this one. Spoiler alert. Going through all of it, all of the above simultaneously. And it wasn't like I had a choice, but guess what? Today, I have never felt more myself than I do now. Now, being 43 years old, never felt so much like myself. Like, sure, hands down, I wouldn't mind my 20-year-old metabolism or skin, like if you know, you know. But the woman I am in my 40s, like that I am today, you better believe she's grounded, she's clear, and you better believe I know what I bring to the table. And guess what? She's finally done trying to be understood by people who were never even meant to get her in the first place. But still, when life shakes you, when you have to rebuild from scratch, like nobody asked you to begin with, it changes you. And if you are in that season right now, I really want to share the 10 things that I have learned or had to learn going through my own reset. The hardest, however, yet most liberating chapter of my life yet. Because guess what? Starting over in your 40s, it's not the end. Trust me, it is the ultimate power move. So let me be very clear. Reinvention in your 40s, it kind of hits different because you have lived, you have built, given, and proven enough that you no longer crave validation. Like there's something very liberating about your 40s where if you have to literally crave for validation, it's just simply the wrong people around you. However, when your world shifts, as in your career, your relationship, and probably your health too, it does change everything you thought was stable, right? Does that resonate with you? And then you just realize like growth, it's not glamorous. It's messy. It is very humbling. However, this is also where your real power shows up. Like that kind of power that cannot be shaken by circumstances, opinions, or even fear. So let's talk about what starting over really looks like, the truth that will keep you anchored when everything around you feels uncertain. Welcome to You Can and You Will. I'm your ace. I'm Kathrine Louis, executive coach for ambitious women, communication consultant for C-level leaders in one of Europe's largest groups, and very proud mama of my 3 babies. On this podcast, we talk about what it really takes to step into your next level, the strategy, the energy, and the identity behind unstoppable success. Because the moment you align with who you are and what you do, success stops feeling like effort and will start feeling like inevitable. If this resonates with you, make sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review and share this episode with a friend, a loved one, or a coworker who really needs to hear this message today. Also, I do have a little gift for you at the end, so you better stay tuned because you don't want to miss out on this one. Okay, so let's get right into it and start with number 1. Growth is not a straight line. It is just not. And if you have like not been living under a rock and are in your 40s right now or even your 30s, you most probably have made that experience already. And reinvention isn't linear either, obviously. Like some days you will feel like you're flying, like you got your down, you got it all figured out. And just to then on other days, you will wonder like if you have actually just lost your mind, like what the heck is going on? And this is what you really have to understand about those days. Like, that is not failure, that is recalibration. Every single quote unquote setback is a redirection. And you have to understand, and you probably heard me say that before, every redirection is protection. So, the truth about growth, and when you try to become a version and identity that you have not been before, guess what? You will have to do inevitably things you have never been doing before. And every single time you move what we call outside of your comfort zone, your nervous system is going to be stressed out AF because it is so unfamiliar. And then when things do not work, collect that data and understand things not working out literally is protecting you. And then this is where the real magic actually happens, is when you stop, like literally stop chasing this constant progress and just really start trusting that you can handle whatever comes. Because this kind of chasing energy, guess what? It's going to keep you stuck. Because when you chase something, you're focused on one certain outcome. And that's not how it works. It's just not. If that is what you've been trying to do and it's not working, that's very much making sense. You have to be in the process and then really just trust that you're going to handle no matter what. And guess what? That kind of calm self-trust, that's what freedom really does feel like. And that's where the real progress is starting to happen. Also, this kind of chasing energy is going to keep you stuck because you're going to miss out everything left and right. And maybe, when we start setting goals in a perspective of being unhappy and feeling stuck, and then we grow along the way, how about if your real goal, if the real growth that you're looking for is even beyond of what you were even capable dreaming when you were still stuck? Do you know what I mean? So the practice along to this kind of growth, and I'm going to provide you with practices for every single step because you know how we do. I really want you to be able to work this through together with me so you will experience immediate change and growth. Okay, so I hope you got your pen and paper. If you're listening to this right now while you're being on a commute, come back to this, download the episode. You can come back to this literally as often as you wish, as you desire. Also, this is why I also always recommend to come back to a book or audiobook or like this episode, podcast episode, as many times as you wish, because every single time you're going to listen or read again, you will find and experience something new. And that actually is because as you grow along the way, you will take something different, if that makes sense. So that's such a beautiful and wonderful thing. So the mini practice for step number 1 is actually write down 3 things that you have already overcome. And I know there are at least 3 things for every one of you listening right now. And it needs to be specifically something that you once thought would break you. I know we have all been there. So be very frank, be vulnerable, go there. It's going to help you heal so much. And then look at them every single time your doubt is going to whisper. And also, that's part of the journey too. Doubt is going to whisper. Sometimes it's going to scream and yell at us. And it's important to have like a log, like a file, like a collected data, that when you are in that weak spot, and that's not a sweet spot to be in, we all know that you can just come back to literally see and read the proof that this is not going to keep you stuck. That is the kind of evidence you can literally rebuild. Number two, and girl, this is something about your 40s. This is something, you know what? I feel like the 20s, again, if it wasn't for the skin, I need none of it. The 30s, and then the 40s is like where you just learn the ish. You just become so much more calm. And I just heard, I don't remember, I cannot recall who that was, but like the 50s must be like even more genius when it comes to that. But still, enjoying the 40s. Step number two is control the controllables. And that actually goes straight back to my 11 principles, like focus on your own lane. And this is something that I've been enjoying now for years. Like, you cannot control what other people do, think, or choose. However, you can very much control how you respond, if at all. And that, my love, is the total sweet spot. Because the truth is, people show you who they are. They show you. They will always show you very, very soon. And anyone, and you have to understand that, who truly loves you will never, never, ever, ever intentionally hurt you. And if someone who loves you would hurt you by accident, trust me, they would not do that again. So I think there is really something about being hurt by the people who you thought you would love the most, and then even fighting for them to realize that they hurt you. But girl, seriously, if you have to fight for them to understand, you are investing in the very wrong person. So understanding all of this, and I would hope for people to learn that in their home, in their families when they're kids. Because if you have not been growing up in like a family like this where this is being taught, chances are you end up in a relationship, maybe even marriage, where you live through this again. And it takes a whole lot of time to understand that. And if you understand that, you're not going to end up in toxic relationships or even marriages to begin with. So that is something to be learned. And then also, that realization simplifies just everything. Like, we're not collecting red flags over here, don't we? And it's gonna free you from over analyzing and trying to fix something which is not yours to manage to begin with. So, next time something feels chaotic, right? May that be getting to know a person, and I'm not specifically talking about romantic relationship. This also goes for friendship, for workmates, for just every kind of interaction with another human being. You really want to ask yourself, is this mine to control or is it to release? And then you really want to act accordingly. Also, something I really want to point out here is that you reacting to something, a situation, somebody's person's behavior, be very, very smart and intentional where you invest your energy into. Because if you invest your energy on a person's behavior, which is just a lost case, that energy is going to, it's going to be missing somewhere where it would actually feed something positive. Okay, so number three, it goes back to my principles too, because honestly, those 11 principles of mine, and there's a whole episode on that. And if you feel currently kind of lost or you are in that situation where you have to rebuild, also, by the way, if you're in your 20s or 30s, obviously you can, I feel like, learn so much from the experience right here. And if it saves you a whole lot of heartache and pain and years to understand, I would be more than happy. By the way, if you need support, just send me an email. You find all the information down below. So, number three, if it's not going to earn or grow, it's a liability and it's got to go. Okay? Okay, because energy, time, and attention are your currency. It is. Nobody's ever going to get you that time of your life back. Every single minute of your life is so precious. And quite frankly, if it doesn't help you grow, like emotionally, spiritually, financially, it is a liability. It's not a good thing. So you really want to audit your life like that CEO of your life, okay? Because you cannot ever in your life blame anybody else but yourself. You are, my love, responsible for your life. So act accordingly. People, projects, habits, if they do not align with where you are going, they just do not belong in your calendar. It is that easy. Also, I've been talking about this with a client the other day. We all have seasons in our lives. And by the way, funny enough, last week I talked about that with a C leader too. We all have seasons in our life, right? We have seasons of growth. We have seasons of arriving. We have seasons of settling. Then we have seasons probably of heartbreak and pain too. That's sometimes, unfortunately, inevitable. So when you have friendship, relationships, you know, if like especially those that you've been having for years, maybe even decades, and I am so blessed. Like two of my oldest friends, I've been knowing them since I'm 3 and 5 years old. The one I'm talking to every single day, the other one I'm talking to every few weeks. And then also, my other friends, like my inner circle, most of them, I've been like having them in my life for decades, literally. And so when you have those kind of relationships and foundations, you go together through seasons. And guess what? People are going to change. If a person's going to be like, oh, you have so changed, the only correct response would have to be, oh, I hope I did. Because guess what? Life is all about change. And then sometimes for a different season, maybe that friendship's not going to work so much, or maybe you have to establish different boundaries. And then sometimes you just cannot drag along every single person. Then sometimes that's just what it is. So, how you can literally figure this out and audit this is, and this is the mini practice going to this. I want you to draw two columns, like one for earns, one for growth and drains, and then delays. And I need you to list what belongs in each. So this is basically like an elevated version of the pros and cons, just being very much more specific. And again, but this goes for every single mini practice that I provide for you. Be very honest. You are not doing yourself a service if you're trying to sugarcoat things. Like if you at the end do not experience the kind of growth you're looking for, that's probably because you've been sugarcoating things or did not want to be very honest about it. That's not going to help you. Spoiler alert. So, once you have figured this one out, you have to act like the woman protecting her energy portfolio. And especially for us women, it is that point in our life where we have to understand that our energy, our time, our attention, it is valuable. Not every little thing, not every person deserves it. Be very specific about how you invest your love, your emotions, your energy, like you are that worthy. Moving straight on to number four, because I feel like this really connects. Number four would have to be you teach people how to treat you, especially if you're starting over. Like once we hit that reset button, you really want to make sure you are very intentional about your circle. Because remember, the people you surround yourself with, like That's everything. It is everything about where you're going with your life because they have so much influence on you. And if you ever ask any successful person, depending on what, success really means for you, that's different to every single person. They will always share this one thing. It is very much so about the people you surround yourself with. Always. So, and I've been talking about this a great big deal in the past few episodes. Like, if you want to become healthy and you talk about this to healthy people, they're going to cheer you on. They're going to support you. Guess what? People eating fast food all the time, not caring about their nutrition, they're going to be like, what the heck is wrong with you? Or if you want to become an entrepreneur, right? Talk to people who have actually established businesses. They're going to support you. They're going to recommend you things and steps and strategies. However, if you talk to a person who is just not that ambitious about their career, business, whatever, they're going to be like, are you wasting your time or what? So the people in your life, specifically your closest circle. I'm not saying you cannot surround yourself with people like that, but who is in your like immediate circle? Are they going to support your growth or not? Be very intentional about this, specifically starting over in your 40s. So the thing about you teaching people how to treat you, and that's a real thing. And if this is news to you, listen very carefully, because here's the truth. People will always treat you the way you allow them to. Again, people will always treat you the way you allow them to. And if someone crosses your boundaries and still stays in your life, you have unfortunately trained them that is in fact okay. And I talk about my very, very own experience once I started realizing that, specifically with one person, and try to start establishing boundaries, you better believe hell broke loose. And that's how you know. This is not about you being wrong. And then on the other side, the people who love you deeply, like really do love you, guess what? They're going to lift you up. They're going to celebrate you. And they definitely not going to try to keep you small and dim your beautiful light. So this is heavy. It's a deep one. And this has definitely been one of my greatest learning experience. And just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I spoke to one of my besties about this. We talked about where we're at in life. We talk very often, but we specifically had this one topic we were talking about. And I was like, girl, you better believe I have my boundaries in place. I know who has what kind of access to my energy. And that just itself helped me rebuilding my life from scratch. Again, nobody asked for this, but that was the season I was at in my life. And that was a big, big part of that. So the mini practice to this is audit your circle. Ask and be very, very honest. Again, this only can work for you if you are as honest and vulnerable as possible. So ask yourself, who expands me and who exhausts me? And then you really want to choose proximity intentionally. We're going to remain attached with the people in our lives because guess what? It's the foundation, at least for myself, and I know for many of you too. So starting over in my 40s, what I wish I knew, number 5. Well, this one, quite frankly, I've been knowing probably since my birth because to me, my family is everything. And whether this is your blood family or your chosen one, to me, it is both, quite frankly, because as I just shared with you before, there are people in my life I've been literally knowing all my life, literally, and they are a part of my family. Definitely. And I'm so very proud that I can say that my closest circle, which is, I've been growing over the my life. And you know what? Michelle Obama, I'm a huge fan. Like, she is such a role model. She said one time something, and I really, really love that. She was sharing about how she, you know, took people from every single season of her life, and the people around her like kitchen table just became more and more because she got people from every single life. So naturally, you cannot take all the people from every single season. We just discussed that, like, you really want to audit, but that's what she did. And now she has this beautiful circle of people in her life. And I feel so blessed that I can say that too, because there's something so sacred about watching your life unfold besides people who truly see you, who celebrate you, who love you. Like the ones who cheer you on without an agenda, who watch your kids grow, who love you through your messy shit. Sorry, that's what it is. Like, those are your people. This is your home base. And they are the proof that belonging isn't built by just blood. It is too, to a certain sense, but we also all know family, it's a thing. But it's also built by presence. And I want to share, I don't know, there's something about me sharing a whole lot of personal insights today, but there's something so deep about this. So, especially with those people in my life, my family, my chosen family, that I don't really like make a difference here. I'm just saying, like, I'm that person, and my babies are too. We go through our pictures quite a lot, and guess what? I have like more over 30K pictures on my phone. Like, that's the reason. Oh, don't even make me go there. However, you know I have that so often that I see my baby, like my friends' babies. I witness them growing up. And this is actually such a happy thing that my kids and the kids of my family, chosen family, other things, like my friends, they all love each other a lot. Like, they do, even they're very different in age. So that's the biggest blessing to begin with. But then also seeing all of them together in pictures over the years, that's such a beautiful thing. And like, when those memories pop up, it's like, and then we send it all each other. Like, oh, do you remember 6 years ago? Or do you remember she was still a baby? And then, I also have like you see how I'm lighting up right here. It gets me teary eyes. I have this beautiful board in my kitchen where I like hang up all the important cards. So then there is the birth announcement of one of my friends, and right next to it, she just married a while ago, her partner. And then that card having right next to it is like a beautiful collection. And quite honestly, I need a way bigger board. It is already big, but you collect during the years. And I don't know. There's just something about that and that kind of relationship that gets you carried through it all. And as I said before, they love you through all the mess. And there's nothing that can match that. And now, when I talk about this, and maybe your family or your inner circle is not as big, that's also about a season in your life, right? Don't forget that. There have been seasons in my life where I felt very lonely, not because I wanted to, because that's what the outside circumstances were. Let's just put me this way. And I just hope you know. So that wasn't good for me. It wasn't feeling good. It was not a happy season. So just understand that if that is what you're facing right now, it's a season. And then there's going to be a new season. And you can, just like Michelle Obama and every single other person, we don't all go through life like this our entire life. There are going to be lonely seasons, and then there are going to be seasons when you find that people. That's just very normal. So, what I need you to do, our mini practice, scroll your camera roll and then pick one photo that captures that feeling. Pause on it. because that's what you're fighting for when everything feels uncertain. Also, if you find like an old photo with people you used to love so much, contact them. Maybe that's just the perfect moment in time. Also, what I really want to give away, which I feel like is so important, the people in my inner circle, specifically those like being with me all my life, we all have very, very different paths. I really want to, put this out there because I was just talking about how, when it comes to nutrition, you want to surround yourself with people, who have the same goals to carry each other, yada, yada, yada. However, and this is what true love is about, and true friendship and being a family, no matter what, like your ride or dies. Like, my besties, they're all as different as possible. There's an opera singer. There's the other females in my life have very different career path, as you can tell. However, we are very much being interested in each other's careers. I think that's a big one. At least to me, that's very important. And then on a personal level, even though we might be very different, we have so many points to connect. So many points. So just wanted to put it out there. Moving on to number 6, from the things I wish I knew before having to start over in my 30s, which, by the way, still has been my biggest blessing. The company you keep shapes your altitude. Because a healthy person's not going to shame your boundaries. They just won't. And this is just really diving a bit more deep to what I've been sharing before. A confident woman's not going to she's not going to envy your glow. No, she's going to love it. She's going to cheer you on. And a successful entrepreneur is not going to doubt your ambition. I just cannot put this out there often enough because I feel like we oftentimes just do everything to fit in, but maybe that's just not your spot, right? So the people around you either going to fuel your expansion or they're going to slow it down. Listen, can we talk about this trying to fit in one more time? Because this has definitely been the story of my life until a few years ago. If you don't fit in, don't even try it. It's not your spot. Seriously. Just remember that you really want to choose the one who reminds you of what is possible for you, and not just what is practical and what is in reach. And the mini practice here would have to be, I really need you to make a list of 5 people whose energy is the one you want to match. Not because of status or, anything like that, but because of how you feel around them. And that, my love, is your new proximity map. Number 7, and that's such a good one. Actions speak louder than words. Always has been, always will. Because whether it is a relationship, parenting is a biggie because remember, you can teach your kids so many things, but if you do not behave the very same way, they will always watch so much closer on how you behave. That's the thing. And then self-respect too. Like your actions are your loudest language. Period. Your children gonna learn self-worth from how you treat yourself. That really is a big thing. And then your clients, your coworkers learn trust from your consistency and how you rebuild that credibility with repetition and not just promises. Like don't be wasting your time. Like to me, I always watch so much closer on how people act, on what they do. And you remember how I told you before, people are always going to show you who they are. That's the thing right here. And the practice you can do there is just for this week, replace a promise with a proof. It's going to feel so much more grounded and more aligned. And I really don't need you to announce it. Remember, actions, not words. And then just do it. Let the results speak for themselves. Also, it is not just for the people around you, but for yourself. Remember how you treat yourself, how you want other people to perceive you and who you are. Number 8, and this is something I feel like specifically as moms have to learn, and even more so if you were a single mom like me. By the way, there's something I want to say here. So I'm not very loud about me being a single mom. I think you might have all figured this one, because there's something about how other people treat single moms, this like pity and oh my God, I'm so sorry, and being victimized. I am not the one to be victimized. I'm very much aware of what people do to me and how they treat me. Trust me, very much aware. But I'm not being a victim for being a single mom. Again, I know who's treating me right. I know who's stepping up, and I know who's doing its part. However, being a mom to my beautiful 3 children has been, and always will be my biggest blessing. They're the most amazing humans on this earth, and it is my biggest blessing to be allowed to be their mom, to be in the position to just be a part of their beautiful lives, and to be honored to have the chance to support them in every single way, to support their creativity, to support them in figuring out what they want to do with their life, to be allowed to be a part of it. I think this is what parenthood truly is. And then also making sure, that they just got everything they need. Period. Are the circumstances fair? No. Am I going to make sure they're not figuring this out? Yes. Because they deserve to live a fulfilled and happy life. And everything I can do to make sure of that, I do. So, this is why I'm not putting it out there all the time. However, I also know and understand that as single moms, we need a different kind of role model. We need a different kind of inspiration. We need other single moms to look up to be able to understand and witness and see, oh, I can still do all of those things while being a great mom, and just then also still not neglecting myself. So this is why I thought this is the episode where I want to share, big parts of my, just being a single mom too, because it makes sense. This is about starting over in my 40s, right? So number 8 is a big part of that. You are your most valuable investment. Or as my dad told me, oh, he's that person. He's just going to be very frank, very clear, but he's got a very important point. He told me I have to make sure I'm good because I'm running the show here. And if I'm not well, nobody in my home is. So that's what's up. Like your growth, your health, and your mindset are the highest yield investments you will ever make. Do you understand that? Like if you invest in your skills, your career is going to flourish. And I know we all got bills to pay. If you invest in your health, and that there should not be an if, like that's a non-negotiable right there. Your energy is going to multiply. Or as my dad said, again, girl, you're running the show if you're a single mom. You better make sure you're good. And then if you invest in your mind, your peace is going to compound, especially as a single mom. Like if you're not good, even if you do not communicate, your kids going to latch onto that energy. Remember that. And I know you know. So we got to make sure we're good. We got to make sure we're positive. Obviously, you cannot be happy all day, every day, right? That's life. But our kids specifically going to watch how we handle this. How do we handle all of this? So you better make sure you're good. And the ROI is always higher when you take that bet on yourself. Guess what? It always is. So, understanding this, the question here is, what is that one area of your life that really needs a little bit of funding right now? Okay? Whether it is time, energy, or education, I really need you to invest accordingly. And by the way, mamas out there, I know it's a lot, but if there's anything that can make your life easier, may it be a gardener, may it be an, device to, I don't know, clean your windows. I just upgraded. That's just a silly thing. This is hashtag adult life. I swear. I just upgraded my window cleaner to a device. Oh my God. Like, I'm just loving this. So just go there. Like, you're so more than worthy. Number 9, and that just hits different in your 40s. Like, I have always known and understood this because it's a matter of fact, but it's just gonna hit different again in your 40s. Number 9, time is your most precious asset. And I don't know what it is, but there's just something that shifts in your 40s. Like, you suddenly realize there are only so many summers left with your babies, with your kids, only so many Christmases left before, your baby's gonna stop believing in Santa. Like, your time is everything. And just let me put it out there, being busy doesn't equal productive. And when I remember how people were trying to tell me or sell to me that they were busy, and now being surrounded by sea level all day, every day, seeing how they're being productive, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. So make sure that presence, your presence, the presence of the people that you love, that you have in your circle, presence, trust me, is the new success metric. So the mini practice to that would be, I need you to ask yourself every single night, did I live today or did I just manage that? And ooh, that's gonna hit different, specifically to us single moms. That's just what it is. And then realizing that and probably adapting a new mindset to it, I need you to choose differently tomorrow. You deserve that. By the way, I am not sure there has ever been any episode where I said you deserve that as often, but I feel like there is no way you could hear that too often. And I'm very serious. And by the way, if you are a male person going through this episode, whether you are a parent or you're just not, all of this obviously still applies to you. It does, whether you are a parent or not. And obviously, if you are a female and you don't have a family, it still also very much so applies. I feel like being a parent, being a single mom on top, just amplifies the ish out of everything. So I feel like you can learn so much about this. Okay? So, by the way, step number 10 in starting over in my 40s, self-care is self-respect. Yes, it is. Do you remember how I was just talking earlier about how you treat yourself? Actions being louder than words. That is paying on to this. So skincare, workout, doctor appointments. It's a thing, ladies. And specifically rest, like your sleep hygiene. By the way, did you know that term sleep hygiene is a thing? None of this. And if this is news to you and you haven't been taking yourself seriously enough yet, let me tell you, none of this is indulgence. It is just not, it's a necessity. It is self-respect in action. And if you know any videos of myself, you know I speak with my hands more than with words. And you better believe I'm sitting here like shaking my arms left and right and doing all the movements because this is so important. Like the glow that comes from self-respect just hits differently. It is how you enter that room differently when you have that glow. Like this is saying, listen, I respect myself. You're not going to put ish up with me. It's just not. So when you nourish your body, when you protect your sleep, and that supplement is your health, by the way, you just carry that energy that no makeup or filter could just ever fake. Period. So you really want to create your non-negotiable trio, like one for your mind, one for your body, for your soul. And you really want to do that daily. So no matter how busy life gets, like make that a habit. Remember, if you can have it a habit, you're not gonna miss out on anything. By the way, I'm just working on a roadmap for a new client of mine, and one thing which I feel like is important to understand, you really have to map it out. Like, who is that identity of you, who you want to be? And then understand what you have to do, specifically when it comes to self care, in order to be her. And then make this a habit. And then you have to understand that when you slip on all of those things all the time, you're always in this becoming state, not in the arriving state. So figure out what it is that you need to do, what you need to make a habit in order to be that identity, and then make sure you pull through. But that's, again, something I work with on my clients all the time because that is, in fact, the greatest shift. So, starting over in your 40s, it is not the end. It is just not. And let that be said by somebody who did not choose to start over. However, it has turned out to be my greatest blessing because I made that choice. And I'm very sorry if this truth is kind of hitting you uncomfortably, but that is my job. Like, not every single truth you're going to have to understand in order to be that identity you're longing for is going to be comfortable. Very much not. I made that conscious choice that if I already have to start over in my 40s, you better believe I have that be the beginning of becoming who I was always meant to be. That version and identity of myself that I always knew deep down inside I was supposed to be. And the life I was living just didn't sit right with me to begin with. But that is your choice. It is your responsibility. And if you need proof for that, you can make that. Trust me, I know you have already survived enough to know your power. And now you get, listen, you get to rebuild with boundaries, with intention, and with peace. Like, girl, you are equipped, whether you know it or not. So if you are in your 40s and you are rebuilding, you are actually not behind. You are not. I know it oftentimes feels like it. It feels like, oh, everybody got their life figured out. They got the houses, the cars, the careers. Sometimes that's going to feel icky. However, understand that you are being refined. And I'm very sorry, or maybe not, for giving you a little bit of a tough love today. But going through all of this, I know what it takes. I know the effort, the pain, the tears, the sweat, the effort, everything that goes into that. So trust me when I say I know what you're going through, okay? And before I let you go, I promised you a little sum. So I created something special for you that, by the way, is going to help you carry through all of this too, which is a 2026 vision board wallpaper for your phone. I designed it specifically as a daily reminder of the woman that you are becoming, my love, with that calm, confident, and completely in control of her next chapter. So you can actually download it immediately. The link is down below in the show notes. Set it as your lock screen because honestly, is there anything else we look at as often as our phone? No. And this is why this kind of visual reminder works so well. And then you're just going to start embodying her energy every single day. So, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time again. Bye.